Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tanya and today we're going to be doing another Harry Potter chapter, of course. This one is the Forbidden Forest. I am super excited about this one because we basically left on a cliffhanger, and ever since I uploaded that Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback episode, I've been just dying to know exactly what happened, because as you guys know, if you have been following the series, we will definitely link the playlist in the cards and in the description box. So basically we left off where Hermione and Harry safely delivered Norbert, this little tiny baby Norwegian Ridgeback dragon that Hagrid was illegally housing, to Ron's brother's friends. Charlie, the Romanian cool guys. As I said, they are so cool. I love that edit that my sister did with the Migos song. She should insert it right now.
10 bad babs and they after me.
Wasn't that fun? Okay, like I can't wait to get to the Order of Phoenix, because I think that's what it is. All those guys grabbing the brooms, and I think it's Tonks, and I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, I'm super excited about this specific chapter because I'm like, what is gonna happen? And you know, how is Malfoy going to react after being apprehended by Professor McGonagall? So I'm super excited about that, as I said. Now, my mom is actually in town, so she'll finally be able to taste one of the desserts or one of the meals that we are preparing on the channel. So I'm super happy and thrilled that she's here. So I'll give you guys the feedback. She won't be on camera, of course, but I'll give you guys that feedback just if you wanted to know. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with chapter 15, the Forbidden Forest. I'm so excited. And don't mind my humidifier, guys. I need it just like SpongeBob needs water. Okay, I have the most crazy nosebleeds that you can't even wrap your mind around.
I get really bad nosebleeds.
Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Chapter 15, the Forbidden Forest. Things couldn't have been worse. Filch took them down to Professor McGonagall's study on the first floor, where they sat and waited without saying a word to each other. Hermione was trembling. Excuses, alibis, and wild cover-up stories chased each other around Harry's brain, each more feeble than the last. He couldn't see how they were going to get out of trouble this time. They were cornered. How could they have been so stupid as to forget the cloak? There was no because those guys are so cool. It's like, whoa, you know, adventure. Yeah, when you're caught up in the moment, oh my goodness.
This is incredible. It's like my inhibitions just disappeared. Okay, they're back again.
The little details that can save your life, you know? Yeah. Okay. There was no reason on earth that Professor McGonagall would accept for their being out of bed and creeping around the school in the dead of night, let alone being up the tallest astronomy tower, which was out of bounds except for classes. Add Norbert and the invisibility cloak, and they might as well be packing their bags already. Had Harry thought that things couldn't have been worse? He was wrong. When Professor McGonagall appeared, she was leading Neville. What is he doing out of bed, guys? That's crazy. Neville, Harry! Neville bursted out the moment he saw the other two. I was trying to find you to warn you. I heard Malfoy saying he was going to catch you. He said you had a drag. Shut up! Oh my god, I don't. Oh no, oh no. He's so sweet. Harry shook his head violently to shut Neville up, but Professor McGonagall had seen. She looked more likely to breathe fire than Norbert as she towered over the three of them. I would never have believed it of any of you. Mr. Filch says you were up in the astronomy tower. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Explain yourselves. It was the first time Hermione had ever failed to answer a teacher's question. She was staring at her slippers as still as a statue. I think I've got a good idea of what's been going on, said Professor McGonagall. It doesn't take a genius to work it out. I love this. They're going to be, it's like, tell me this is what's gonna happen in this next. I'm just like giggling. Tell me that's what's gonna happen in this next little chunk. It's like you're feeding the person their story. Like, no. Let just you be quiet and let them fess up as children. Like, don't give them the details of the story because they're gonna run with it. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna insert this clip from Freaky Friday where this professor was so biased and so unfair to a lot of his students, and it's just so ridiculous. Anyway, he comes up to the student who does not know his response or his answer to like an orated, that's not the right word, like a question that you have to answer audibly, not like written. An oral test. Yes. I went to school. I went to an Ivy League. Yeah, like that doesn't mean a damn thing. Yeah, so the student was like giving his oral answer, and then the professor finished his thoughts for him, and that's just what it reminds me of.
Mr. Waters, Describe the character of Hamlet.
Hamlet, he's one of the big characters. I mean, he's Hamlet. He's just bopping around, doesn't know which way's up. I don't think the guy's got a clue.
You mean to say that he is a man who couldn't make up his mind.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that's it. Okay, here we go. I'm so sorry for the interruptions with, oh my gosh, I'm having the best time. I don't know if it's because of this light. It's like pink. Anyway. It doesn't take a genius to work it out. You fed Draco Malfoy some cock and bull story about a dragon trying to get him out of bed and into trouble. I've already caught him. I suppose you think it's funny that Longbottom here heard the story and believed it too? Harry caught Neville's eyes, and tried to tell him, without words, this wasn't true, because Neville was looking stunned and hurt. Poor blundering Neville. Harry knew what it must have cost him to try and find them in the dark, to warn them. I'm disgusted, said Professor McGonagall. 4 students out of bed in one night. I've never heard of such a thing before. You, Miss Granger. I thought you had more sense. As for you, Mr. Potter, I thought Gryffindor meant more to you than this. Oh my god. Like, it's the worst kind of reprimand when people are disappointed in you, huh?
Instead of focusing on your studies, something that can make your pathetic life worth something, you around here acting like some common criminal.
All 3 of you will receive detentions. Yes, you too, Mr. Longbottom. Nothing gives you the right to walk around school at night, especially these days. It's very dangerous. And 50 points will be taken from Gryffindor. Oh my god, I broke my accent because it's so many. That's so many points. 50, Harry gasped. They would lose the lead he'd won in the last Quidditch match. 50 points each, said Professor McGonagall, breathing heavily through her long pointed nose. Professor, please, you can't. Don't tell me what I can and can't do, Potter. Now, get back to bed, all of you. I've never been more ashamed of Gryffindor students. Oh yeah, that's right, she's like the lead of Gryffindor. 150 points lost. That put Gryffindor in last place. Oh my gosh. 150 points lost. That put Gryffindor in last place. In one night, they'd ruin any chance Gryffindor had for the House Cup. Harry felt as though the bottom had dropped out of his stomach. How could they ever make up for this? Harry didn't sleep all night. He could hear Neville sobbing into his pillow for what seemed like hours. Harry couldn't think of anything to say to comfort him. He knew Neville, like himself, was dreading the dawn. What would happen when the rest of Gryffindor found out what they'd done? Oh my god. At first, Gryffindors passing the giant hourglasses that recorded the house points the next day thought there'd been a mistake. How could they suddenly have 150 points fewer than yesterday? And then the story started to spread. Harry Potter, the famous Harry Potter, their hero of 2 Quidditch matches, had lost them all those points. Him and a couple of other stupid first years. From being one of the most popular and admired people at the school, Harry was suddenly the most hated. That's so fun. Even Ravenclaws and Hufflepuffs turned on him because everyone had been longing to see Slytherin lose the House Cup. Everywhere Harry went, people pointed and didn't trouble to lower their voices as they insulted him. Slytherin, on the other hand, clapped as he walked past them, whistling and cheering. Thanks, Potter. We owe you one. Only Ron stood by him. They'll all forget this in a few weeks. Fred and George have lost loads of points in all the time they've been here, and people still like them. They've never lost 150 points in one go, though, have they? Said Harry miserably. Well, no, Ron admitted. It was a bit late to repair the damage, but Harry swore to himself not to meddle in things that weren't his business from now on. He'd had it with sneaking around and spying. He felt so ashamed of himself that he went to Wood and offered to resign from the Quidditch team. I like that. I like that. I love that. That's great. I just can't even tell you. Like, wow, I love this line. He felt so ashamed of himself that he went to Wood and offered to resign from the Quidditch team. That's excellent. If everybody could kind of like act this way in society, huh? Resign, Wood thundered. What good'll that do? How are we going to get any points back if we can't win at Quidditch? But even Quidditch had lost its fun. The rest of the team wouldn't speak to Harry during practice, and if they had to speak about him, they called him the Seeker. Hermione and Neville were suffering too. They didn't have as bad a time as Harry because they weren't as well known, but nobody would speak to them either. Hermione had stopped drawing attention to herself in class, keeping her head down and working in silence. Harry was almost glad that the exams weren't far away. All the studying he had to do kept his mind off his misery. He, Ron, and Hermione kept to themselves, working late into the night trying to remember the ingredients in complicated potions, learn charms and spells by heart, memorize the dates of magical discoveries and goblin rebellions. Then, about a week before the exams were due to start, Harry's new resolution not to interfere in anything that didn't concern him was put to an unexpected test. Walking back from the library on his own one afternoon, he heard somebody whimpering from a classroom up ahead. As he drew closer, he heard Quirrell's voice. No, not again, please.
Stop it. Get some help.
It sounded as though someone was threatening him. Harry moved closer. All right, he heard Quirrell sob. Next second, Quirrell came hurrying out of the classroom, straightening his turban. He was pale and looked as though he was about to cry. He strode out of sight. Harry didn't think Quirrell had even noticed him. He waited until Quirrell's footsteps had disappeared, then peered into the classroom. It was empty, but a door stood ajar at the other end. Harry was halfway toward it before he remembered what he'd promised himself about not meddling. All the same, he'd have gambled 12 Sorcerer's stones that Snape had just left the room. And from what Harry had just heard, Snape would be walking with a new spring in his step. Quirrell seemed to have given in at last. Harry went back to the library where Hermione was testing Ron on astronomy. Harry told them what he'd heard. "Snape's done it then," said Ron. "If Squirrels told him how to break his anti-dark force spell." "They're still fluffy, though," said Hermione. "Maybe Snape's found out how to get past him without asking Hagrid," said Ron, looking up at the thousands of books surrounding them. "I bet there's a book somewhere in here telling you how to get past a giant three-headed dog. So what do we do, Harry?" The light of adventure was kindling again in Ron's eyes.
Oh no.
Something tells me she just couldn't stay away.
But Hermione answered before Harry could. "Go to Dumbledore."
No.
"That's what we should have done ages ago. If we try anything ourselves, we'll be thrown out for sure." "But we've got no proof," said Harry. "Quirrell's too scared to back us up. Snape's only got to say he doesn't know how the troll got in at Halloween, and that he was nowhere near the 3rd floor. Who do you think they'll believe, him or us? It's not exactly a secret we hate him. Dumbledore will think we made it up to get him sacked. Filch wouldn't help us if his life depended on it. He's too friendly with Snape, and the more students get thrown out, the better, he'll think. And don't forget, we're not supposed to know about the stone or Fluffy. That'll take a lot of explaining." Hermione looked convinced, but Ron didn't. "If we just do a bit of poking around." "No," said Harry flatly. "We've done enough poking around." He pulled a map of Jupiter toward him and started to learn the name of its moons. The following morning, notes were delivered to Harry, Hermione, and Neville at the breakfast table. They were all the same. "Your detention will take place at 11 o'clock tonight. Meet Mr. Filch in the entrance hall. Professor M. McGonagall." 11 o'clock? Yeah, what is this? Is it their bedtime? What? 11 o'clock, that's like the witching hour almost. That is so funny, 11 o'clock at night, can you imagine? Harry had forgotten they still had detentions to do in the furor over the points they'd lost. He half expected Hermione to complain that this was a whole night of studying lost, but she didn't say a word. Like Harry, she felt they deserved what they got. At 11 o'clock that night, they said goodbye to Ron in the common room and went down to the entrance hall with Neville. Filch was already there, and so was Malfoy. Harry had also forgotten that Malfoy had gotten to detention too. "Follow me," said Filch.
"Walk this way. This way."
Lighting a lamp and leading them outside. "I bet you'll think twice about breaking a school rule again, won't you, eh?" he said, leering at them. "Oh yes, hard work and pain are the best teachers if you ask me. It's just a pity they let the old punishments die out." Like probably smacking the kids around. "Hang you by your wrists from the ceiling for a few days." I wasn't thinking that they were trying to break the Geneva Detention Convention.
He can't do that. It's against the Geneva Detention Convention.
And do some Guantanamo Bay type of stuff, hanging kids by their wrists from the ceiling. That's sick and twisted. That's crazy. Hang you by your wrists from the ceiling for a few days. I've got the chains still in my office. Keep them well oiled in case they are ever needed.
I want to see some punishment.
Right, off we go. And don't think of running off now. It'll be worse for you if you do. Like, why does, again, this sounds like a concentration camp, like running off as if there are mines out there. It'll be worse if they catch you. Like, this is not a prison break. They're just in school. What the heck?
Don't shoot! You can't go anywhere!
You think I was gonna shoot him?
The last thing we need is an investigation.
My goodness. Because you know, like when like convicts, prisoners escape, it's worse. Like, you're adding to your sentence. I know that this guy, I think his name is Charles Bronson. I had a conversation about this man with my mom. She was saying like he was a different guy, and then I was like, no, he's a different guy that I know. I think there's like two different kind of famous Charles Bronsons. But anyway, the one that I was talking about was like this serious criminal. He did this minor offense, and then he basically stayed in jail in England, I think, for years and years and years because he tried to escape, and he's just like, you know, adding on to his prison sentence. But yeah, just crazy. Anyway, they marched off across the dark grounds. Neville kept sniffing. Harry wondered what their punishment was going to be. It must be something really horrible, or Filch wouldn't be sounding so delighted. Yeah, right? Like, okay. The moon was bright, but clouds scudding across it kept throwing them into darkness. Ahead, Harry could see the lighted windows of Hagrid's hut. Then they heard a distant shout. "Is that you, Filch? Hurry up! I want to get started." Harry's heart rose. If they were going to be working with Hagrid, it wouldn't be so bad. His relief must have shown in his face because Filch said, "I suppose you think you'll be enjoying yourselves with the oaf." Well, think again, boy. It's into the forest you're going, and I am much mistaken if you'll all come out in one piece. At this, Neville let out a little moan, and Malfoy stopped dead in his track. "The forest," he repeated, and he didn't sound quite as cool as usual. "We can't go in there at night.
You wait till my father hears about this."
There's all sorts of things in there. Werewolves, I heard." Neville clutched the sleeve of Harry's robe and made a choking noise. "That's your problem, isn't it?" said Filch, his voice cracking weakly. "Should have thought of them werewolves before you got in trouble, shouldn't you?" Hagrid came striding toward them out of the dark, Fang at his heel. He was carrying his large crossbow, and a quiver of arrows hung over his shoulder. "About time," he said.
"We're in this space because of you."
"I've been waiting for half an hour already." "All right, Harry, Hermione, I shouldn't be too friendly to them, Hagrid," said Filch coldly. "They're here to be punished after all." "That's why you're late, is it?" said Hagrid, frowning at Filch. "Been lecturing them, eh? It's not your place to do that. You've done your bit. I'll take over from here. I'll be back at dawn." Dawn? So they're gonna be all night, whatever they're doing. Okay, so Filch said he'll be back at dawn. "For what's left of them," he added nastily, and he turned and started back toward the castle, his lamp bobbing away in the darkness. Malfoy now turned to Hagrid. "I'm not going into the forest," he said, and Harry was pleased to hear the tone of panic in his voice. I love it. "You are if you want to stay at Hogwarts," said Hagrid fiercely. "You've done wrong, and now you've got to pay for it." "But this is servant stuff. It's not for students to do. I thought we'd be copying lines or something. If my father knew I was doing this, he'd tell you. That's how it is at Hogwarts," Hagrid growled. "Copying lines? What's good that to anyone? You'll do something useful, or you'll get out. If you think your father'd rather you were expelled, then get back off to the castle and pack. Go on." Malfoy didn't move. He looked at Hagrid furiously, but then dropped his gaze. "Right then," said Hagrid. "Now listen carefully, because it's dangerous what we're going to do tonight. And I don't want no one taking risks. Follow me over here a moment." He led them to the very edge of the forest, holding his lamp up high. He pointed down a narrow, winding earth track that disappeared into the thick, black trees. A light breeze lifted their hair as they looked into the forest. "Look there," said Hagrid. "See that stuff shining on the ground? Silvery stuff. That's unicorn's blood. There's a unicorn in there. Been hurt badly by something. This is the second time in a week. I found one dead last Wednesday. We're gonna try and find the poor thing. We might have to put it out of its misery." "And what if whatever hurt the unicorn finds us first?" said Malfoy, unable to keep the fear out of his voice. "There's nothing that lives in the forest that'll hurt you if you're with me or Fang," said Hagrid, "and keep to the path. Right now, we're gonna split into..." It's hard to read Hagrid, guys. "Enter two parties and follow the trail in differing directions." I'd rather read him in a country accent. Seriously, he's so difficult. "There's blood all over the place. It must have been staggering around since last night at least." "I want Fang," said Malfoy quickly, looking at Fang's long teeth. "All right, but I warn you, he's a coward," said Hagrid. "So me, Harry, and Hermione will go one way, and Draco, Neville, and Fang will go the other. Now, if any of us finds the unicorn, we'll send up green sparks, all right? Get your wands out and practice now. That's it. If anyone gets in trouble, send up red sparks." This reminds me of the Goblet of Fire maze event, the challenge, when they have to, send up red sparks, and we'll all come and find you. So be careful. let's go. The forest was black and silent. A little way into it, they reached a fork in the earth path, and Harry and Hermione and Hagrid took the left path, while Malfoy, Neville, and Fang took the right. They walked in silence, their eyes on the ground. Every now and then, a ray of moonlight through the branches above lit a spot of silver blood on the fallen leaves. Harry saw that Hagrid looked very worried. Could a werewolf be killing the unicorns? Harry asked. Not fast enough, said Hagrid. It's not easy to catch a unicorn. They're powerful magic creatures. I never knew one to be hurt before. They walked past a mossy tree stump. Harry could hear running water. There must be a stream somewhere close by. There were still spots of unicorn blood here and there along the winding path. You all right, Hermione? Hagrid whispered. Don't worry. It can't have gone far if it's this badly hurt. And then we'll be able to get behind that tree. Hagrid seized Harry and Hermione and hoisted them off the path behind a towering oak. He pulled out an arrow and fitted it into his crossbow, raising it and ready to fire. The three of them listened. Something was slithering over dead leaves nearby. It sounded like a cloak trailing along the ground. Hagrid was squinting up the dark path, but after a few seconds, the sound faded away. I knew it, he murmured. There's something in here that shouldn't be. A werewolf? Harry suggested. That wasn't a werewolf, and it wasn't no unicorn either.
I said, bitch,
said Hagrid grimly. Right, follow me, but be careful now. They walked more slowly, ears straining for the faintest sound. Suddenly, in a clearing ahead, something definitely moved.
somebody there?
Who's there? Hagrid called. Show yourself, I'm armed. And into the clearing came. Was it a man or a horse? To the waist, a man with red hair and beard, but below that was a horse's gleaming chestnut body with a long reddish tail. Harry and Hermione's jaws dropped. Oh, it's you, Ronan. Like, oh, it's just you. Horseman. Said Hagrid in relief. How are ya? He walked forward and shook the centaur's hand. Don't you mean his hoof? Anyway, of course, top portion is man. Good evening to you, Hagrid, said Ronan. He had a deep, sorrowful voice. Are you going to shoot me? Can't be too careful, Ronan, said Hagrid, patting his crossbow. There's something bad loose in this forest. This is Harry Potter and Hermione Granger, by the way, students up at the school. And this is Ronan, you two. He's a centaur. We'd noticed, said Hermione faintly. Good evening, said Ronan. Students, are you? And do you learn much up at the school? A bit, said Hermione timidly. A bit? Well, that's something. Ronan sighed. He flung back his head and stared at the sky. Mars is bright tonight. Yeah, I'm losing that accent. In and out of accents. Yeah, said Hagrid, glancing up too. Listen, I'm glad we've run into you, Ronan, because there's a unicorn been hurt. You seen anything? Ronan didn't answer immediately. He stared unblinkingly upward, then sighed again. Always the innocent are the first victims, he said. So, it has been for ages past, so it is now. Yeah, said Hagrid. But have you seen anything, Ronan? Anything unusual? Mars is bright tonight. Like, okay, say Mars is bright one more time. Like, answer the question, yes or no, I don't know. I don't like when people do that in movies. It's like, you ask a question and then they give you a completely different response, like, from what you're initiating here. Like, what are you doing? Mars is bright. What does Mars have to do with anything? I'm just saying. Okay. Alright, Mars is bright tonight, Ronan repeated while Hagrid watched him impatiently. Unusually bright. Yeah, but I was meaning anything unusual a bit nearer home, said Hagrid. So yeah, haven't noticed anything strange. Yet again, Ronan took a while to answer. At last he said, the forest hides many secrets. How about you? You're strange, because you won't give me a direct answer. Okay. A movement in the trees behind Ronan made Hagrid raise his bow again, but it was only a second centaur, black-haired and bodied, and wilder looking than Ronan. Hello, Bane, said Hagrid. Alright, good evening, Hagrid. I hope you are well. Well enough, look, I've just been asking Ronan, you seen anything odd in here lately? There's a unicorn been injured, and would you know anything about it? Bane walked over to stand next to Ronan. He looked skyward. Mars is bright tonight, he said simply. Okay, let's stop here. We're gonna go have an ABBA party. You guys, I love ABBA. So I'm gonna crank up some ABBA, make this, what am I making? I don't think I even told you. I always do that. Anyway, I'm gonna be making this like Black Forest cherry trifle thing that I found on Pinterest. Let me see if I can get the exact name. I'm super excited about this to see how it'll turn out. And of course my mom will be able to taste it as well, which is so exciting. Looking for my board of all the foods. So fun. Okay, yes, it's a Black Forest tiramisu. It's a pretty simple recipe. I'm hoping that it turns out pretty great. It looks like a really extravagant and fun thing. There's not really any baking or precise measurements that are required or needed. So I'm happy to kind of take a break from extreme type of foods. You know what I mean? Like, meaning things that have to be very calculated, and like if you kind of mess up something, it could turn sideways. But this is what we're making. Super pretty. Yeah, so this is what we're gonna be making. Very excited about that. Okay, so follow me into the kitchen and let's get into it. Okay guys, so I just wanted to quickly show you the ingredients that we're going to be using today. I always like to just make everything available and in my view, so that way I know every single piece of the recipe is accounted for. You know, just mise en place, put everything in its place. Of course, this is not really mise en place because I didn't actually measure anything, but I do like to make sure that, hey, I'm not missing something. So I just bring it all to the front. I can't speak. Anyway, today we're going to be making, as you guys know, Black Forest tiramisu cakes. I have these two containers here because, of course, if we're kind of gonna do some type of a trifle, I would love to be able to see it. I also wanted to use one of the Vernon's Brandy's martini cups. They're like these cute little tiny fluted type of martini cups. Maybe I'll bring one out to try that, but these are the ingredients that we'll be needing today. Just gonna do a super quick rundown because I don't want to spend too much time on the recipe. But for the cherry filling, we are going to need about half a cup of cherry juice, which is what I have here, a cup of jarred cherries pitted, so we're just gonna use maraschino cherries, which I actually really love, a tablespoon of corn flour, and about 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. And then for the coffee mixture, I have this. I don't know, which one would you guys pick, the Cafe Bustelo or the Nescafe? I've just been using this one for now. Obviously I'll use this in the future. You guys, instant coffee is so expensive because of, you know, like, stop talking about that stuff.
Please, sir, I want some more.
It's the hard knock life for us.
Anyway, the recipe calls for instant coffee, which is really great because I actually have it. That's what I drink right now because my precious pink Keurig is at home in Miami, so I can't use that. So yeah, we're just gonna need about like 2 tablespoons of instant coffee with a cup of hot water, which is why we have my little tea kettle here. And then as far as the mascarpone cream, it says here, I got this recipe and it says like all these kind of European, everything but the US, I guess, measurements. We need about like 200 milliliters of a heavy cream. I'll do the little conversion later, I guess, and 200 grams of mascarpone, which is actually this entire container, which is 8 ounces. So 200 grams is apparently about 8 ounces, and that's how, you know, I can work because I live in America. And then we'll need about 6 to 8 tablespoons of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I always love to make sure that I have like a very good brand of vanilla extract because it counts, you know, it makes the taste of the recipe a little different. And then we need about 15 ladyfingers. This is totally up to you because you are the one who's going to like assemble it, so it really doesn't matter how much you have. This is not something that we're baking. It doesn't have to be precise or a science or exact because it's not like we're baking it, and it's not like we're scared if it's gonna over bake, whether it'll be mushy or hard or rise or whatever, so that's not an issue at all. I'm gonna make a chocolate sauce. The recipe calls for it, so I have this semi-sweet chocolate and I'm going to heat up some heavy whipping cream to see if I can make a makeshift chocolate sauce. I didn't buy anything like that. I could have probably just gone with like a Nutella maybe. I don't know, maybe that could have actually made my life a little easier. Dark chocolate for some shavings. It also calls for cocoa powder for dusting, and of course the jarred cherries for garnish. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. My mom is actually in town, so she'll be able to actually taste this. You guys always know that I'm always talking about my mom and saying, oh, my mom would really like this, so today we'll actually get her opinion. Not on camera, of course, but I'll let you guys know afterwards. Okay, so let's get cooking. Interjection, guys. So the recipe says to prepare the cherry filling by mixing 2 tablespoons of cherry juice, which is what you saw me do, and it says slash syrup with cherries along with sugar and corn flour, which is what I just added in here. And then it also says to bring the remaining cherry juice to a simmer and then add your cherries in it, mix on low heat. So I hate when recipes are that confusing. It's not very clear. I don't think I'm that daft. If you guys can hear, oh my gosh, I'm listening to ABBA as I'm making tiramisu. It's just a great Saturday morning with my mom. We're listening to the greatest hits, ABBA. It's one of my favorites. Tell me what your favorite music is out there. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cup of these cherries, and then I guess the remainder of this cherry juice, I'm gonna put it on low heat. I'm gonna mix this and then throw everything inside of like a little saucepan and put it on low heat. I don't know. It should work out okay. As I said, this isn't a baked good, so we're just kind of finessing it and you know, making it up as we go, right? We make it up as we go. So yeah, I don't know. I hate when things are not that clear. After that, we're gonna go ahead and get started with our coffee mixture. Fernando is playing right now. Fernando.
Scared, Potter.
These are the things I find so hard. It's like, which cup should I use for the video? Should I clearly use the coffee cup that says coffee? Or should I use chip? Or should I use something that's transparent so you guys can see it? I'm just such a mess sometimes. But we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of instant coffee and that cup of hot water that's boiling off camera. It's already boiled, of course, because it's quick. And we're gonna let that cool. It needs to be cooled. Of course, you can use your pods and all the other little wicked McGows, like what? Your gadgets or whatever you guys have in your home. Or the standard drip thing, I don't know. You make the coffee though you want to, but 2 tablespoons of instant coffee with hot water is what we're doing over here. So let's do that right now. I don't know, guys, you see, I need your help. Which one would you use, chip or that coffee cup? I'm gonna use Nescafe because that's the one I've been using for a while, so let's continue using it so it could, you know, be finished. It smells so good, guys. So good. Oh, Eavesdropping. This was the correct process, but I'm just gonna let that boil for just like maybe a minute and then turn it off and call it a day because I just don't know. Oh, that looks really good though. We're gonna start with mom's first. Okay, so it says to dip into the coffee, but I'm not going to do that because that just sounds like too much of a hassle. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to break it and then drizzle some coffee on top. It's supposed to get really soft and mushy quite instantaneously, so that's what we're gonna do. My hands are clean, of course. This is a kitchen. Oh, it's already soft on its own.
But he don't care about their ways. He simply wants to blaze the day away. He's smoking in his pipe. He doesn't call his man or make a plan. He says he's working on his craft. He doesn't know how long this jig can last.
So this one's Mom's. It's simple, small. Alright, let me go ahead and assemble this one here. Okay, gonna add some shavings. I don't have like a little shaver thingy, but I'm gonna use a knife, see how that works. Potato peeler, let's try that. Oh, it's working. It's working.
Well, it seems to me he's rather stale, unsure of what next move to make.
It's okay, we don't have mistakes here, we have happy accidents.
He's trying to numb his blues to gray. Oh, he is living in a dream, a shadowed life he makes to mend his seams. Haunting ghost of love is he, a foggy veil to soften memories.
Okay, so I don't think that was too bad. I have my dessert here. I had a lot of fun making it, and of course, really nice to have an ABBA playlist going, and my mom as well. And this is the other one that I started digging into. I'm not gonna eat on camera today. I'm a little spent, so I don't really feel like doing that, but it was very, very delicious. I enjoy maraschino cherries a lot, and I feel like this is such like a great party dessert. Like you can do these like little miniature cups and whatnot. My mom liked it. I highly recommend you guys do not eat it right after you assemble it. Make sure that you refrigerate it overnight if you can. It's even better because it just becomes so homogenized and just like it blends into one proper dessert than having all these different like textures and mediums. I don't know how to say that, but it has all these different little pieces, from the cookie to the mascarpone to the chocolate to the cherries, you know what I mean? So, and the coffee. We drizzled only a little bit for my mom because we've been doing like James Bond evenings. I think we're on like Moonraker and the craziest name, Octo.
I don't use that word.
You guys can imagine if you know James Bond. That name is crazy, but it is a fun movie. Yeah, so we're on the Roger Moore era right now, and I love it. Love, love, love it. Oh my gosh. Who else was it? Moonraker and The Spy Who Loved Me. We've just been doing a lot of James Bond, guys. I just looked up the titles, but yeah, we did The Spy Who Loved Me, which just has the best song ever. Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octo, A View to a Kill, which also has a killer song. I love the Live and Let Die song too, with Paul McCartney. And then of course, we gotta do The Living Daylights. My mom found out that, she didn't find out, but just her memory serves her, I guess. I could talk about her all the time, of course, but yo, you guys, there's this one James Bond that they excluded from my little box set, which is so weird. It's called Never Say Never Again and has Sean Connery. It's like, what? So, yeah, we'll be watching that as well. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, dessert was great. Happy. Again, another kind of skill and fun little thing that I have in my repertoire. Ooh, I gotta go rinse my hands. And yeah, let's get back to the story to find out what the heck is going on with these centaurs who are absolutely mesmerized and obsessed with Mars. Alrighty, back at it. Mars is bright tonight, he said simply. And that would be Bane.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
I'm Batman. Okay, we've heard, said Hagrid grumpily. Well, if either of you do see anything, let me know, won't you? We'll be off then. Harry and Hermione followed him out of the clearing, staring over his shoulders at Ronan and Bane until the trees blocked their view. Never, said Hagrid irritably. Try and get an answer, a straight answer, out of a centaur. Ruddy stargazers. Not interested in anything closer than the moon. Are there many of them in here? Asked Hermione. Oh, a fair few. Keep themselves to themselves mostly. But they're good enough about turning up if ever I want a word. They're deep in mind, centaurs. They know things. Just don't let on much. Do you think that was a centaur we heard earlier? Said Harry. Did that sound like hoofs to you? Nah, if you ask me, that was what's been killing the unicorns. Never heard anything like it before. They walked on through the dense, dark trees. Harry kept looking nervously over his shoulder. He had the nasty feeling they were being watched. He was very glad they had Hagrid and his crossbow with them. They had just I just don't understand how you can let the other kids just go with a dog.
We'll split up. I'll take the girls this way.
Every time we split up, it's like I'm stuck with you.
Like how? Like no. Like no. Like what? Please find another punishment for me. You're not gonna leave me here without an adult.
We're not gonna take it.
To go wandering around this forest at night? You know what I would have done? If it was me, I'm like, yeah, I'll take the right path. I think that's what Neville and Malfoy took. And then I would just walk a little and then stay positioned right there until they came back. Are you insane? Or send my sparks? Oh, I thought I saw something. Yeah, no. Just no. I'm too chicken for that. Seriously. They had just passed a bend in the path when Hermione grabbed Hagrid's arm. Hagrid, look! Red sparks! The others are in trouble! You two wait here! Hagrid shouted. Stay on the path. I'll come back for you. They heard him crashing away through the undergrowth and stood looking at each other, very scared until they couldn't hear anything but the rustling of leaves around them. You don't think they've been hurt, do you? Whispered Hermione. I don't care if Malfoy has, but if something's got Neville, it's our fault he's here in the first place. The minutes dragged by. Their ears seemed sharper than usual. Harry seemed to be picking up every sigh of the wind, every cracking twig. What was going on? Where were the others? At last, a great crunching noise announced Hagrid's return. Malfoy, Neville, and Fang were with him. Hagrid was fuming. Malfoy, it seemed, had sneaked up behind Neville and grabbed him as a joke. Funny. Neville had panicked and sent up the sparks. We'll be lucky to catch anything now with the racket you two were making. Right, we're changing groups. Neville, you stay with me and Hermione. Harry, you go with Fang and this idiot. Sorry. Hagrid added in a whisper to Harry, but he'll have a harder time frightening you, and we gotta get this done. So Harry set off into the heart of the forest with Malfoy and Fang. They walked for nearly half an hour deeper and deeper into the forest until the path became almost impossible to follow because the trees were so thick. Harry thought the blood seemed to be getting thicker. There were splashes on the roots of trees as though the poor creature had been thrashing around in pain close by. Harry could see a clearing ahead through the tangled branches of an ancient oak. Look, he murmured, holding out his arm to stop Malfoy. Something bright white was gleaming on the ground. They inched closer. It was the unicorn, all right, and it was dead. Harry had never seen anything so beautiful and sad. Its long, slender legs were stuck out at odd angles where it had fallen, and its mane was spread pearly white on the dark leaves. Harry had taken one step toward it when a slithering sound made him freeze where he stood.
Pardon me, ladies, gentlemen.
A bush on the edge of the clearing quivered, then out of the shadows a hooded figure came crawling across the ground like some stalking beast. Harry, Malfoy, and Fang stood transfixed. The cloaked figure reached the unicorn. Lowered its head over the wound in the animal's side and began to drink its blood. Malfoy let out a terrible scream and bolted. So did Fang. The hooded figure raised its head and looked right at Harry. Unicorn blood was dripping down its front. It got to its feet and came swiftly toward Harry. He couldn't move for fear. Then a pain like he'd never felt before pierced his head. It was as though his scar were on fire. Half blinded, he staggered backward. He heard hooves behind him galloping, and something jumped clean over Harry, charging at the figure. The pain in Harry's head was so bad he fell to his knees. It took a minute or two to pass. When he looked up, the figure had gone. A centaur was standing over him. Not Ronan or Bane. This one looked younger. He had white blonde hair and a palomino body. What does that mean? Palomino. Nah, I need to know. I'm not going to proceed without knowing what the heck that means. Oh, okay. It's a horse. It's a type of horse. You guys can't see. It's a horse. It's a horse type, I guess. Oh, you're right, said the centaur, pulling Harry to his feet. Yes, thank you. What was that? The centaur didn't answer. He had astonishingly blue eyes like pale sapphires. He looked carefully at Harry, his eyes lingering on the scar that stood out livid on Harry's forehead. "You are the Potter boy," he said. "You had better get back to Hagrid. The forest is not safe at this time, especially for you. Can you ride? It will be quicker this way. My name is Friends. Friends." Like a friend? Friends? He added, as he lowered himself onto his front legs so that Harry could clamber onto his back. There was suddenly a sound of more galloping from the other side of the clearing. Ronan and Bane came bursting through the trees, their flanks heaving and sweaty. "Friends!" Bane thundered. "What are you doing? You have a human on your back. Have you no shame? Are you a common mule? Do you realize who this is?" said Friend. "This is the Potter boy. The quicker he leaves this forest, the better." "What have you been telling him?" growled Bane. "Remember, friends, we are sworn not to set ourselves against the heavens. Have we not read what is to come in the movements of the planets?" Ronan pawed the ground nervously. "I'm sure Friends thought he was acting for the best," he said in his gloomy voice. Bane kicked his back legs in anger. "For the best? What is that to do with us? Centaurs are concerned with what has been foretold." Why does this sound like the Chronicles of Narnia? Like, Rowling, are you, looking into C.S. Lewis's works? Because this definitely reads like Narnia. Which is cool, of course. "It is not our business to run around like donkeys after stray humans in the forest." Friend suddenly reared onto his hind legs in anger, so that Harry had to grab his shoulders to stay on. "Do you not see that unicorn?" Friends bellowed at Bane. "Do you not understand why it was killed? Or had the planets not let you in on that secret? I set myself against what is lurking in this forest, Bane. Yes, with humans alongside me if I must." And Friends whisked around with Harry clutching on as best as he could. They plunged off into the trees, leaving Ronan and Bane behind them. Harry didn't have a clue what was going on. "Why is Bane so angry?" he asked. "What was that thing you saved me from anyway?" Friend slowed to a walk, warned Harry to keep his head bowed in case of low-hanging branches, but did not answer Harry's questions. They made their way through the trees in silence for so long that Harry thought Friends didn't want to talk to him anymore. They were passing through a particularly dense patch of trees, however, when Friends suddenly stopped. "Harry, do you know what unicorn blood is used for?" "No," said Harry, startled by the odd question. "We've only used the horn and tail hair in potions." "That is because it is a monstrous thing to slay a unicorn," said Friends. "Only one who has nothing to lose and everything to gain will commit such a crime. The blood of a unicorn will keep you alive, even if you are an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something pure and defenseless to save yourself, and you'll have but a half-life, a cursed life, from the moment the blood touches your lips." Harry stared at the back of Friends' head, which was dappled silver in the moonlight. "But who'd be that desperate?" he wondered out loud. "If you're going to be cursed forever, death's better, isn't it?" "It is," Friends agreed. Can you guys imagine if I'm saying this guy's name wrong? Ferenzi? Friends. I just don't see any other way to say his name. Friends.
Armand Asante?
I don't know. I don't know. It really proves to you, like, I don't know Harry Potter. Alright, so this guy agreed. Unless all you need is to stay alive long enough to drink something else, something that will bring you back to full strength and power, something that will mean you can never die. Mr. Potter, do you know what is hidden in the school at this very moment? The Sorcerer's Stone, of course, the elixir of life, but I don't understand who. Can you think of nobody who has waited many years to return to power, who has clung to life awaiting their chance? It was as though an iron fist had clenched suddenly around Harry's heart. Over the rustling of the trees, he seemed to hear once more what Hagrid had told him on the night they had met. Some say he died. Codswallop, in my opinion. Don't know if he had enough human left in him to die. Do you mean? Harry croaked. That was Harry! Harry, are you alright? Hermione was running toward them down the path, Hagrid puffing along. But here's a question for you guys, if you can answer me this. This guy, this cloaked figure in the forest, look at me like I'm like Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, like scared. This cloaked person in the forest, is it Quirrell as well, right? Like this, is it Quirrell who's like hunched over and drinking this unicorn's blood? That is a question I actually genuinely have, because I don't think you ever see the person's face. So I have to ask that. And this chapter is a little bit long, so the video will be quite long as well. We're almost done. We're about a page and a half left, but it is a little bit longer. Okay, let's continue. All right, let's start from here. Harry, are you all right? Hermione was running toward them down the path, Hagrid puffing along behind her. I'm fine, said Harry, hardly knowing what he was saying. The unicorn's dead, Hagrid. It's in that clearing back there. This is where I leave you. friends murmured as Hagrid hurried off to examine the unicorn. You are safe now. Harry slid off his back. Good luck, Harry Potter, said Friends. The planets have been read wrongly before now, even by centaurs. I hope this is one of those times. He turned and cantered back into the depths of the forest, leaving Harry shivering behind him. Ron had fallen asleep in the dark common room, waiting for them to return. He shouted something about Quidditch fouls when Harry roughly shook him awake. In a matter of seconds, though, he was wide-eyed as Harry began to tell him and Hermione what had happened in the forest. Harry couldn't sit down. He paced up and down in front of the fire. He was still shaking. Snape wants the stone for Voldemort, and Voldemort's waiting in the forest. And all this time, we thought Snape just wanted to get rich. Stop saying the name, said Ron in a terrified whisper, as if he thought Voldemort could hear them. Harry wasn't listening. Friend saved me, but he shouldn't have done so. Bane was furious. He was talking about interfering with what the planets say is going to happen. They must show that Voldemort's coming back. Bane thinks Friend should have let Voldemort kill me. I suppose that's written in the stars as well. Will you stop saying the name? Ron hissed. So, all I've got to wait for now is Snape to steal the stone, Harry went on feverishly. Then Voldemort will be able to come and finish me off. Well, I suppose Bane will be happy. Hermione looked very frightened, but she had a word of comfort. Harry, everyone says Dumbledore's the only one you know who was ever afraid of. With Dumbledore around, you know who won't touch you. Anyway, who says the centaurs are right? It sounds like fortune-telling to me, and Professor McGonagall says that's a very imprecise branch of magic. The sky had turned light before they stopped talking. They went to bed exhausted, their throats sore, but the night's surprises weren't over. When Harry pulled back his sheets, he found his invisibility cloak folded neatly underneath them. There was a note pinned to it, just in case. Cue the music. Boom, 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 boom. Who? Tell me. Somebody tell me. Who gave him the cloak back? I have no clue. Like, I probably could get... Like, I'd die. Like, I don't want to sound too graphic, but like, no. If my life was depending on it, I couldn't tell you who gave him the cloak back. How exciting. Oh my gosh. Yes. Another chapter down. You guys are so close. We have 2 chapters left. Chapter 16 and chapter 17. So we have chapter 16, which is Through the Trap Door. And then chapter 17 is The Man with Two Faces. I'll give you a sneak peek, you guys, for The Man with Two Faces. We're going to do black and white cookies because I just thought it would be kind of cool. Yin yang. It's like, you know, two-face, like, you know. And then for Through the Trapdoor, we're going to try something called Bubble Squeak. Bubble Squeak? I think that's what it is. My sister just knows these little weird things because she likes to watch a lot of cooking things on the YouTube, and I guess maybe that's where she might have found it. I don't know. I have to actually ask her. Maybe she can edit and tell us right here because, again, she's the editor. And yeah, but yes, I'm so happy. Again, another wonderful chapter of Harry Potter. I'm just so excited for the end. I am ready. You guys, I am trying to finish the Sorcerer's Stone in this apartment because I am moving. Things are going to be shaken up a little bit. I'm going back to Florida very soon. And I'm happy about that because you guys know, if you know, you know. New York's a little crazy, of course. It's a gorgeous, fun city. Yes. But it has a lot of downfalls. But yes, New York's not the same. We need help around here. Anyway, not to say too much. Yes, I'm going back to Florida. Super happy about that. And, you know, we're going to be moving and then we'll start Chambers of Secrets there. I might reiterate this again once I finish The Man with the Two Faces, chapter 17, just in case people kind of catch these videos in out of order. But yes, I don't know what else to say. Try this recipe out if you please, okay? It's quite delicious, very yummy, very good chilled, just great for like cocktail parties. I don't know, it's a great, like, impressive looking dessert. I just love that, but it's very delicious, very simple, and a lot of fun to make. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a lot of fun with this chapter. I tried my best with those accents. I'm not a pro. Thank goodness Snape wasn't in there because you know, the Alan Rickman accent is just something I can't do. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!
Saw you in the park on Wednesday. You were